Hello and welcome everyone. So now we are going to discuss the baiting methods of anti-termite treatment, which is far more superior than the chemical methods where we use the chemical emulsion application for the soil treatment for getting exclusion from termites. So whenever we are going to make our buildings, so we used to spend a lot of money on different resources like sound sensors, microphones, cameras, and alarm system, and proper fencing all around our building structure for protection from any kind of invasion or thievery. But you will be surprised to know that just one of the 16th part of an inch, I'm talking of an inch, which is equal to 2.54 centimeter, which can be equated with the thickness of a 1 quarter coin, or it can be equal to the tip of the pencil, or it can be equal to one thread of a woolen roll. So through that much thickness only, the termites can invade on our building structures. Even if our building structure is properly guarded and monitored and secured, and even if it is a pentagonal structure. So termites can pass through even these small holes and can attack on our building structure even if they go unnoticed. And what happens at the end, we may claim for the security or the insurance of our buildings. But what happens, termites are so intelligent that they can even eat up these documents also. So it is completely our responsibility to safeguard our building structure. And in a termite colony, there is a royal family headed by the queen, and queen is surrounded by its bodyguards and its own ministers, its own family, younger ones, and they all are just eating up. They all are just continuously feasting upon, and the food is being provided by these worker termites. So these worker termites continuously provide food to this royal family. So how to get rid of these termite colonies? Usually what we have studied till now in pre-constructional and post-constructional anti-termite treatment method is that is the liquid application of chemical emulsion through the normal compressed water supply tanks, and through this we uh, spray the chemical emulsion over the entire soil where we are going to construct our buildings. So normally we call the specialized agency, and these person they spray the chemical emulsions of generally termiticides, and there are big colonies beneath the subsoil, and there can be sub colonies where they can house millions of termites. And when we pour these gallons of chemicals, what happens, these chemicals seep or percolate through the holes that they have made beneath the soil, and they reaches this colony. But what happens, there can be many holes which can't be even treated, and we may not have provided a continuous chemical barrier between their colonies and our buildings. So the permanent solution that has been suggested by many researchers is the use of baiting techniques. Now in this baiting technique, just like we put a rat bat in the night for catching the rats or the rodents, similarly we put these baiting stations on the periphery of our building at a uniform gap. Okay, so here I have used different baiting stations outside as well as inside the house. So we generally use baiting station inside the house when our house is infested with termites. So what happens if, as the research suggests, that these termites loves to eat the bait more than the normal wood, and in due course what happens, that their entire existence simply goes to destruction because we use their lethal chemicals. So generally what these worker termites do, they are in constant and blindly searching for the food continuously for the royal family and their entire colony. So what they do, they dig their tunnels throughout their entire soil beneath the foundations. And when they reach these baiting stations, and these baiting stations contains some half composed wood which have some poisonous and hazardous chemicals for the termites. And when these worker termites get the taste of the wood being kept in the baiting stations, they start communicating to other worker termites also that there is a very tasty food. And slowly these termites reaches all the baiting stations. And of course we have to monitor these baiting stations every 2 to 3 months, that what is the status. And what happens mostly, when they start transporting this food to the royal family, slowly and slowly the younger ones, bodyguards and the ministers of the queen, slowly and slowly start disappearing, all the second generation, third generation, and finally the queen also gets away. So no queen, no termites workers, and no second generation, and no worries. So that's why it is considered that these baiting stations gives a permanent solution by addressing the root cause of the termite. Because I consider always the root cause is that the presence of the colonies of termites near our building structure. As long as these colonies are there, and if they are not destroyed from the root, that is the destruction of the queen, we are not sure that we are getting rid of the termites. So by using these baiting stations we can get properly rid of the termites. So that's why it is the permanent solution. Okay, normally we may feel that our structure is completely safe from the attacks of the termites, but it's not the fact. What happens, sometimes these termites start destroying the wooden structure from inside out. And when we see some signs of infestation, that means that destruction has begun. So these termites are spread beneath the soil in a large network region like this. And this is how they start digging their tunnels, and they spread their network everywhere. And if we see, these tunnels are the transportation medium for these termites, and they are in constant search of wood. For us, house may be the one time investment. For the termites, it's equal to the wood, or it's their food. So generally there is a queen and king termite, and normally an average queen gives offspring millions of number, and these offsprings can be a part of workers, and a part of soldiers, and a part of swarmers. So there are three categories of offsprings given by these queens. What happens that these workers are in constant search of food for the colony and the entire royal family, and these soldiers, they try to defend the entire colony from any attack. And these swarmers are like the outreach missionaries who start flying away to develop new and new colonies at new and new spots. So these workers are in constant blind search for their food, and when they reach, even they transport themselves through any medium, through any soil and any concrete by making the holes, and they start reaching to the timber, and they start communicating with each other by some chemical communications. And they communicate that we have got the food source, everyone is welcome there. So unless we destroy these networks created by the termites, we can't be sure that we are completely rid of these termite attacks. And the network can be as much big as a football field. And if we know about the methods of getting exclusion from termite, there are two. One is the liquid application of chemical, and other is the baiting technique. And the liquid application of technique employs the use of gallons of chemicals mixed in specific proportion. And when these termites attack on our building structure, and when we have treated with chemicals, they get blocked there only. So we have to basically dig a trench around the periphery of our buildings, and whenever we encounter concrete or RCC masonry blocks, then we have to drill it, and fill those areas with also the chemicals through the syringe or the nozzle. And here a lot of chemicals, I have already said, in gallons is being used. And of course these termiticides are not very much environmental friendly. But if we have not provided such chemical barriers properly, because there are many obstructions in real situations, like there can be concrete blocks, there can be pipes, there can be conduits, and a termite is sufficient to pass through even 1 by 16th of the inch of the space, and through which they can invade or raid on our house. That is sufficient for their attack. So how to get a permanent raid of these termites, and is there any other method other than the liquid application? And that's why I'm talking of the baiting stations, because these baiting stations offer us a permanent situations to get rid of these termite networks and their colonies. What we do generally by the expert agencies, these baiting stations are led at a proper and uniform distributions around the periphery of our building structures. Now these baiting stations, what they do, because there is already the network spread beneath the subsoil, and when these termites workers start reaches to the baiting stations and they encounter the wood being kept there, and we have already used poisonous and hazardous chemicals which is lethal for their existence of life, these termites start dying. And whomever they touch or come in contact with through their chemical communication also, these worker termites start dying slowly. And slowly what happens, their movements start getting up to the death, and in due course of time the number of worker termites start decreasing drastically. And that's how the source of food to the colonies is stopped. When workers are not there, there will be no supply of food to the royal family, and they will also get die in due course of time, and there will be no queen, no workers, and no worries. So as we have discussed that there are two methods of getting rid from these termites. One is the liquid application of chemical, but there are vulnerability in this case because the colony is not destroyed and workers may pass through the holes in due course of time, and liquid application slowly percolates through the soil and it completely exposes our structure to the termites. But these baiting stations offer a permanent solution in comparison with the, and they are also environmental friendly, and that's why these baiting stations have came out as an revolutionary innovation in getting rid of the termite attacks on the building structures. So that's all about the termite proofing and different methods of termite proofing, different materials being used, and different treatments to different elements of the structures. And here we end our course in a great delight, and you can always contact us in case of any doubts or queries. I have also given my email ID and WhatsApp number, so you can always be in touch with us. Stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you.